What if I told you perfection doesn't exist? Well, not in this world anyway. I think a lot of us struggle with perfectionism, myself included. We want to make sure that the things that we do, the person that we are, the world around us is just perfect in every way. And the reality is, it's never going to be. We live in an imperfect and fallen world. And so to expect perfection from such a place is really to place false hopes in the future. We expect that one day things will all just fall into place and that our lives will just somehow be perfect. Yet if we look back through our lives and through our experience, and also the experience of others, perhaps our friends or family, or through reading books, we will find that perfect doesn't exist in this world. We may find happy endings, yes. We may find periods of joy and peace and just wonder and splendour in this world. And they're all great and I love them. And when you get those periods in your life, they're just fantastic, aren't they? I'm sure you can think of some examples from your own life. But they're never perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. And for many of us, we spend our lives trying to chase this perfection, trying to chase this reality that doesn't exist. Perhaps when it comes to your work, you put lots and lots of energy into making sure that every single thing you do is perfect. And it really, really irks you when something, perhaps you submit a piece of work, or maybe a client picks up on some mistake that you've made. And for a lot of years, that really used to frustrate me, that I wasn't perfect, that I made mistakes, I had failures. And I think that that's something that when we start to internalize those failures as a bad thing, and we start to look at ourselves as this version that is subpar, we're not at that perfect level that we want to be at, it can be a really damaging self-belief, and actually can lead to lots of other conditions like anxiety and depression, because we're not where we think we should be. And for me, this really was something that I fought with for a lot of years. And it wasn't until I turned back to God and to faith in Jesus that I realised that I didn't have to be perfect. I just had to be me. And really, that's all you have to be too. The world doesn't need a perfect, or what you think is a perfect version of yourself. It just needs you to be you. It needs you to be authentic. It needs you to be yourself. And again, this is something that I feel we lose so much in the modern world. We see these standards held up on social media or in movies, TV, of lives that we think we should be living. Things that, because they're in a story, they appear perfect, but they never really are. And there's always, even the lives of some of the most famous actors. You could look at Johnny Depp, for example. We might see his character in any of the films that he's in and think, he's famous, he's rich, he's got this amazing talent as an actor, his life must be perfect. But a quick scan of the news stories will soon reveal that actually his personal life is very far from perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. And I think perfection, and perfectionism especially, can really get in the way of us actually living full and happy lives. We maybe strive to have the perfect physique, or to find the perfect partner or relationship, the perfect job. And again, we may get into situations here where we're just in a really unhealthy pattern. For me, for a long while, I was striving after the perfect physique, and I would spend so much time planning and researching, what are the best exercises, what are the best diet, how can I structure my workouts the most effectively, what is going to be the absolute best workout split I can do. And I spent so much time researching and planning and perfecting that I didn't actually go and do the workout. if it wasn't perfect on paper, then I felt like I was wasting my time going into the gym, and so I just didn't. I spent more time researching and trying to come up with this ideal than actually just going in, getting the reps in. And of course, you can see where that leads. You just sort of spiral down more and more, and you find that there's this one thing that I haven't got right yet. So then everything else is a waste of time. And for me, that really held me back for a long while. And it wasn't until I just stripped everything back and said, right, I just need to go into the gym. I need to do the basics, squat, deadlift, bench press, overhead press, pull-ups, rows, and just do those regularly and consistently. It doesn't matter whether I do them twice a week, whether I do 3 workouts a week. It doesn't matter. I just need to be going into the gym, lifting some iron and progressing over time, increasing my weight or my reps. And that was all I actually really needed to be doing. I didn't need to be, thinking how I could best optimize the lower lat and to get the most tension through the entire rep. What I actually just needed to do was go and lift some weights, and all of that thought and perfecting could be left for later. It wasn't necessary. What was necessary was to go and do the activity. I find as well in relationships, we can look for the perfect partner or the perfect friend, perhaps the perfect family. And again, none of those things actually exist. We may find our soulmate. I'm lucky enough to have found mine, but it doesn't mean that she's perfect, and it certainly doesn't mean that I'm perfect either. We still have our shortcomings and our failures, but when you find that person, that love comes through, and they don't need to be perfect. They just need to be themselves. It's their authenticity and their personality that you fall in love with, not this perfect ideal of them. And so really what I'm trying to say is, if in your life you've been in a place where you're searching for this perfect thing, whether it be a physique, a job, a partner, a lifestyle, it doesn't exist. You can make progress, certainly, towards having a great physique, a wonderful partner, a fantastic, fulfilling job, or an incredibly fulfilling lifestyle. But none of them will be perfect. They never will be, because we live in an imperfect world. And again, this, I think, can come into our day-to-day living, where perhaps we're trying to build some good habits. That's one of my main things. I like to have a good set of habits that I build as the foundation of my life. And it's actually something I've been sharing on this channel a lot about is building habits. And there's a short ebook linked in the description called The Simple Living Blueprint, which is what transformed my life really in terms of habits. And I give that away for free to you to try and help you to build a better life. But even if you follow that to the absolute T, it won't be perfect. There will still be things that go wrong. You will miss days. Things will come up in life where perhaps you can't do a workout that day, or maybe for some reason you don't manage to get in some creative work. Stuff comes up, life happens. And if you're trying to just strive for this perfect ideal where, you never miss a day doing anything and your life is so routine and regimented, you actually lose some of the joy and the spark of life, because being able to be, adaptable and flexible and to spontaneous, to go with the flow sometimes, is really what life is all about. It's not about this really strict, disciplined routineness that, almost military style of living. To me, that's not living. That's prison. And I think sometimes we find ourselves in the prison of perfectionism, and we don't really know how to get out of it. Because it involves letting go, it involves failure, it involves making mistakes. But I think it was certainly in one of Brian Tracy's lectures, a very famous business coach and personality and lecturer. He says that the fastest way to success is to fail twice as often. And to me, that really started to open something in me, where it was like, well, if I'm not failing, regularly because I'm trying to be perfect all the time, then how am I ever going to learn? You almost keep yourself to the things you know you can do well. You keep yourself to that comfort zone and you never expand yourself beyond that. And so you halt your growth. Perfectionism can halt your growth and really strangle that path to success. And so I realised I had to start failing more. And it's one of the many reasons I made this YouTube channel and got started in just making videos. I knew some of them were going to flop, and some of them absolutely have. You know, I got like maybe 10 views on some of the videos, but others, you know, I've done really well on, and I've got quite a lot of views and some really positive and just generally nice comments from people. And if I hadn't have taken that action and I'd tried to just refine myself so much to be perfect, I would have never actually put out anything. And so, I might have had some flops and videos that didn't do very well, but I've learned from them and I'm still learning from them. I think I will continue to learn from them forever, really. It's an art that you can only, you learn something new every day, as they say. But I wouldn't have had those successes and had those positive comments and people telling me that, this video really resonated with me, if I had just stayed in my little perfection bubble. If I had been trying to make the absolute perfect video where I didn't stumble, I didn't err, I used all of the vocabulary I wanted, I stayed to the script exactly how I wanted to, that video would have never made it out and never would have reached you. And I wouldn't have built the following of, I think I've got about 100 subscribers at the moment. I wouldn't have built that if I tried to be perfect. I found the videos that have done the best are the ones where I've just really been myself and put myself out there. I've been authentic, and I think that's something that maybe you could be missing in life. If you're striving for this perfectionism and you find yourself restrained to that bubble, you're not expanding yourself enough, you're not growing. And one of the easiest ways to do that is just to step outside your comfort zone and just try and be more yourself as well. Put on, drop those masks of the perfect person, because no one is, and just try, rather than trying to be perfect all the time, try and be yourself all the time. If you also are kind of looking for a community of people who get it, who maybe struggle with the same things that you do, or that, where you can have discussions about this kind of stuff, then I've made a community called The Hearth, and the link's also in the description. And it's free to join. I'll see you in there, and we can just have, it's just a nice, chilled, cozy place on the internet where you can relate to other people and perhaps build some friendships and really kind of, grow together with people as well. I'm certainly still growing myself, but I want to help people like you to grow as well. And so, I made this community, and it'd be great to see you in there. That's it for today. Thanks ever so much for watching. Drop a subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Comment down below if you struggle with perfectionism, and perhaps if there's anything that you feel is blocking you in your life at the moment. It'd be great to hear from you. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching again, and until next time, take care. God bless.